in one of the, I think Soundgarden's bio or something, they were saying that they were joining you, and they referred to you as the godfather of grunge. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, I got to change my look to answer that.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. That line that Kurt Cobain wrote at the end of his note was taken directly from the Neil Young song My, Hey, Hey, subtitled Out of the Blue, not to be confused with the other Neil Young song Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black. You see, there are two separate songs, one called My, Hey, Hey, that is the acoustic song, and the other is called Hey, Hey, My, that is the rock version. Confusing, no? Both very similar, but contain different lyrics in parts. But those lyrics, it's better to burn out than to fade away, are taken from the acoustic track My, Hey, Hey, Out of the Blue. And as you can imagine, that when Neil Young found out that that line from his song was used in Cobain's note, well, needless to say, Young was deeply troubled by that whole situation. Really affected him. Neil Young said, "When he died and left that note, it struck a deep chord inside of me. It f***ed with me." But the whole connection goes a bit deeper and a step further when Neil Young stated that he was actually trying to get in contact with Kurt Cobain right at the time of his death. Young had also lost a friend and bandmate from his band Crazy Horse, that was Danny Whitten, when he died in 1972 in tragic circumstances at the age of just 29. So Young knew the tragedy of losing someone close in those circumstances. And he was actually wanting to give Cobain some advice about just taking a break from the business if he needed to, doing his own thing. Here it is with Neil Young in his own words.
I was trying to call him because I'd read something he said that he couldn't keep it real, and I just wanted to tell him, listen, you don't have to do anything anybody tells you to do. Just stop playing, cancel all your, and don't do anything. I had a whole thing I was going to tell him, but I never got a chance.
And of course, right at this time, right near the end of Kurt's life, was when Nirvana went on that 1994 European tour in February and March. And Kurt was definitely burnt out. And at that point, as most people will tell you, the band really just needed a break. That probably could have fixed a lot of problems. And rather than being told by music executive bigwigs on, hey, keep the machine rolling, keep playing day in, day out, keep churning out the money for us and stuff like that, I think the best thing for Kurt to have heard at that time was not that, but instead actually the advice that Neil Young had for him, right? It sounds like Neil was pretty much bang on there with what he had to say to Kurt, but just never got the chance to. And so now we move on to the record that Neil Young released in August of 1994, that was Sleeps with Angels. And so Cobain had died only 4 months prior to the release of this album. And the title track, Sleeps with Angels, is said to have a lot of Kurt overtones in it. The song may not be 100% about Kurt Cobain, but there is a big part of Kurt in that song. The song opens with the lyrics, "She wasn't perfect, she had some trips of her own. He wasn't worried, at least he wasn't alone. Too late, he sleeps with angels, too soon. He's always on someone's mind, he sleeps with angels, too late. He sleeps with angels, too soon." When Young was asked about the Kurt Cobain influence on the album, he stated, Sleeps with Angels has a lot of overtones to it from different situations that were described in it. A lot of sad scenes. I've never really spoken about why I made that album. I don't want to start now. Young was then asked about the inspiration that Kurt's music had on him. He really inspired me. He was so great, wonderful, one of the best. But more than that, Kurt was one of the absolute best of all time for me. So there it goes, guys, looking at that Kurt Cobain and Neil Young connection. As stated right near the end of Kurt's life, Neil Young was actually trying to get in contact with him to give him this advice to just slow down, take a break, don't do what others tell you to do what you want to do. But he was just never able to make contact with Kurt at that time. And then we get that Neil Young line, that famous line written in Kurt's note. And by all reports, that really just broke Neil Young. I mean, understandably, right? And then you've got that song, Sleeps with Angels, from the album with the same name. And that song definitely does have a Kurt influence in it. So there it goes, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Thanks heaps for tuning in as always. Be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll catch you next time.